doctor is there to treat everybody, black, white, mixed race, whatever they might be. So if this is a condition that shows itself in a white patient by the skin of their fingers I have here, sometimes going blue, surely we need to teach them that.
And that's exactly what we're saying. So as well as teaching that,
we can't say
so as well as teaching that people who are of paler skin colours will turn blue, we need to also supplement this with how this will manifest differently with people of different skin colours. So this is not a way to erase the fact that this is how it presents in people of fairer or white skin tones, but this is to make the picture much more fuller and much more holistic, so that doctors who are trained and doctors who are facing patients of many different races and different skin types are appropriately managed.
When we started our conversation, you did concur that going blue was a racist term and had to be dropped. But how can it be if that's what happens to a white patient?
It's not. We never said that it had to be dropped, but we can say it is inherently racist because it erases the picture of health for almost 20% of our population who do not present in this way. So it's not that it needs to be dropped.
So you don't worry about roughly 80% of the population?
No, in fact, we worry about them adequately so, but we have to understand here that in order to be able to treat every single patient that we come across, we also need to make sure that we're given the adequate information there. So if we're completely ignoring the picture of illness and how that manifests with people of darker skins, this means that not only are we doing them a disservice, but it actually really reduces the picture of health for 20% of our multi-ethnic population. Not to diminish the health of 80% of the population, but to also say that the health of 20% of our population, or almost 20% of our population, I should say, also matters and should be held at the same regard.
Doctor, no one's saying they don't matter. We're just saying that the way this exhibits itself in a white patient or a fair-skinned patient, not necessarily white, I don't know what happens with Asian people, is that they go blue, their skin or their lips go blue. Sorry, their fingertips.
So you agree that you don't know what happens with Asian people?
I don't know. No, I don't know. But I do know that with white people, because I've got pictures in front of me here showing what this does. And all I'm saying is, of course, we need to reference. No, I've started. Thank you. Of course, we need to reference the 20%, but we don't thus ignore the 80%. That's not what medicine's about, is it?
And that's not what we're calling for, and that's not what is being done.
But it is respectful, not you personally, but the University of Bristol Medical School says it's racist. How is it racist? It's factual.
Yes, but racist means to obscure the experiences and the lives of
if I
people
put my
who were not white.
If I put my fingers in an ice bucket now for 10 minutes, I happen to have pale skin, or 15 or 20, it will come out and it will go blue. I then present myself to someone such as yourself and they see, I tell you what you've got, Miss Ferrari, so we need to give you whatever. Warm your fingers up. What's racist about that?
The racism is in the erasure of people who do not have fairer skin.
But I'm a white man who stuck my hand in an ice bucket.
As you said earlier, Nick, you concurred that you don't know what happens with Asian people.
No, I know.
Do you know what happens with black people?
No, I don't.
Do you know what happens? Exactly. So that means you concur that there is a need for education to make sure that there is inclusion.
But we can't ignore what happens to 8 people out of 10.
And that's not what's happening.
May I ask you, do you have equal concerns about the use of expression yellow for jaundice?
Yes.
Right, so we can't use yellow in jaundice either?
We can use yellow, but you're missing the point here.
Well, what have I got wrong there?
You've got a very reductionist view of this whole matter, and I think you think that by elevating one thing that has been obscured and been marginalised and ignored, we're getting rid of something else.
I wonder if
we're not getting rid of that. We're not getting rid of that manifestation or that identification. We're just also including the fact that it manifests differently. So I think you've got a completely reductionist view, which is it doesn't really represent the fact of what's going on at the University of Bristol and so many other medical schools across the country. What are we meant
to do about jaundice then?
So as well as saying that, in some people, people might present with yellowing of the skin, it's not a blanket term. So that's what we're trying to address here. It's not a blanket term that fits everyone, because it's not the case for everyone. And that's the same with cyanosis and people turning blue. It's not the same for everyone.
But that's the same with so many medical conditions, isn't it? I mean, the way that I might have rheumatism or something might be totally different. I mean, goodness me, you know far better than I. Medicine is a multifaceted, a multi-headed beast. The way I get rheumatism. So this idea that, we just have to allow it to be all things to all people, don't we? And not start saying we can't have blue for this going blue and we can't have yellow jaundice.
But that's not what's being said.
Well,
so I think, once again, no, they're saying that it's racist because it's erasing, I should say, the presentation of illness and disease in people of darker skins by saying this is a one-size-fits-all approach. Like you've said, this is a very nuanced and multifaceted sort of clinical manifestation because it changes depending on the people, their individual characteristics. So what we are doing here is making this more representative of the entire population. As you concurred, you don't understand how this would
why I turn to someone
for
like you.
Asian people or people of darker skins.
But that's why
so this is what we're trying to change here for the better, so that we have an
like
anti-racist medical curriculum.
Yeah.